What is good, YouTube? I hope you're all doing well, and I am here to break down the college football playoffs for y'all. Obviously, you do not have to, but if you would like, feel free to subscribe, drop a like if you want to see more videos like this. We are almost there. College football playoff time is just upon us. As you see the bracket, Georgia at number 1, Michigan at 2, TCU at 3, and Ohio State at 4. This will be my full breakdown of predictions and everything of what I expect and predicting how the college football playoff will go. I guess let's start off with my team, the Michigan Wolverines, playing the Fiesta Bowl against the TCU Horned Frogs. Big moment for both teams. When you look at TCU, they got a really explosive offense, not so good of a defense. And here's the key for Michigan to win the game. They got to slow down TCU's offense. And we've seen that happen. Michigan's got a great defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter. He did an excellent job slowing down that explosive Ohio State offense. And I think they're ready. When we look at Michigan, they have a whole different mindset this year than last year. Last year, we see Michigan, they were still an excellent team in 2021. Unforgettable season. But you could tell last year, Michigan was focused on beating Ohio State and winning the Big Ten championship. And trust me, they were happy to be in that college football playoff. That was huge. That was huge for them. Would they have liked to win? Absolutely. But my point is, they wanted to repeat that this year, but they also wanted to go further. So they wanted to bring Paul Bunyan back to Ann Arbor. They did that. They wanted to beat Ohio State again. For the first time back-to-back in over 20 years, and winning in Columbus for the first time since 2000. They did that. They wanted to bring back another Big Ten championship. They did that. They wanted to go to another college football playoff. They did that. And with all that being said, they just want to keep going further. And now it's not just about, it still is, about beating Ohio State, win the Big Ten, beating Michigan State, but it's also about winning the national championship. And you can see from the 2021 season with players like Aiden Hutchinson, Hassan Haskins, players like that did an excellent job at showing the young guys what leadership is at Michigan and carrying it on. And I truly believe Michigan football is back like it was in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Like with Bo Schembechler, Lloyd Carr, I truly believe it's back with Jim Harbaugh. And did it take longer than we would have liked for Harbaugh? Absolutely. But the bottom line is Harbaugh figured it out. We got the right coaches, and those guys from the 2021 season, like I've already mentioned, Hutchinson, Haskins, David Ajabo, they set a great example on the leadership at Michigan, and they've done a great job passing it on to J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, and so on. And now we can see the leadership. And J.J. McCarthy and Donovan Edwards, these guys are only sophomores. They're going to keep getting better each year. And, the leadership that Hutchinson, Ajabo, Haskins have passed on to the young guys like McCarthy and Edwards and so on, it's just going to keep developing, and it's just going to keep going. The leadership is going to keep passing on, and it truly shows how important leadership is, because in the past we've seen with Michigan, there wasn't a whole lot of leadership. You look at, even, I guess you could say 2016 had leadership. That team definitely should have won the Big Ten that year, and I truly believe in 2016 Michigan was a better team than Ohio State. But even 2015, 2017, 2018. 2018, we all had that whole revenge tour. But Chase Winovich was really the only person that was the big leader on that 2018 revenge tour. I mean, you did have guys like Devin Bush, Rashawn Gary, but Chase Winovich did the best job. And that's why, in 2018, it was a great season. I finally thought that was the year Harbaugh was going to do it. But then, they were kind of going to Columbus, acting like they were the shit, and they get whooped 62-39. And then 2019, they were favored to win the Big Ten, did not. They finished 9-4, so it wasn't bad, wasn't great. They did beat number 8 Notre Dame. They smacked them, but overall 2019 was also not the year we expected. 2020, with COVID year, big downfall, and I want to get into that. 2020 against Rutgers. Imagine this, Michigan fans. That whole season was ugly. 2020 was ugly. If Michigan never beat Rutgers in triple overtime in 2020, I bet you the next morning Jim Harbaugh would be fired. And think of that. Just think of that. Think of 2020, that Rutgers game. If we don't win that game, Jim Harbaugh's gone. I guarantee you guys, Jim Harbaugh is done if we don't beat Rutgers that year in 2020. And after that game, when Cade McNamara gave the speech saying, what happens if we win out, the rest of the year got delayed. Well, it didn't happen because of COVID. But then we see in 2021, now into 2022, the leadership of that winning out is now being passed on to these younger guys. And that's what I love about Michigan. And I truly believe the culture and everything is back at Michigan. And we could very well see Michigan win the national championship this year. I would not be surprised because they have their whole mind on that national championship. They want to bring Michigan back to relevance like it was, because the whole point of Michigan is to win. You come to Michigan to win. There's a reason why we're known as the victors. There's a reason why Michigan is the winningest team in college football history, because we are known as the victors. You come here to win, and you come here to win Big Ten titles. You come here to win national titles, and when you don't have that in over 20 years, it can be a problem. And they finally figured out. They've figured out how to win again. They figured out how to beat Ohio State again. They figured out how to win Big Ten championships. They have brought Michigan back to national relevance, and it is so great to see. That is why I truly think Michigan could win the national championship. And now let's go over to Georgia, because I've talked about my team, Michigan, a lot. If we go over to Georgia, right? Great team. Don't get me wrong. Georgia is an outstanding team. Incredible, but at the same time, Georgia is not as good as last year. Are they still a great team? Absolutely. I still think Georgia is the best team in college football, but at the same time, while they are the best team, they are not as good as last year's Georgia. And I do think Georgia will beat Ohio State. I do think they'll beat Ohio State, and I'll get more onto Georgia later. But let's go over to TCU now. So TCU, great offense, excellent offense. And their defense struggles big, especially the pass defense. I think the run defense could be better. It's all right, but I don't think it's going to be enough to slow down Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, especially J.J. McCarthy, knowing that he can run and throw. It's a very multiple offense that Michigan has. And then, like I said, with the pass defense, Michigan's wide receivers are so underrated. Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, A.J. Henning, Andrell Anthony, who I wish got the ball more, Ronnie Bell, it goes on. They have a really underrated wide receiving core. And I've been doing some research, and TCU, just like what we saw with Ohio State this year, I can tell TCU is really they are really underestimating Michigan's wide receiving core. Because think about it. In 2021, we saw Michigan put up 5 touchdowns with Hassan Haskins on Ohio State. And then we go into Ohio State this year, they were really committed to stopping the run, which ended up not working in the fourth quarter. But what did Michigan do? We said, hey, it's okay. We can pass. If they're so focused on our run game because they think we can only run the ball, we're going to show them we can pass. And I saw what the TCU coaches said. I'm sorry, by the way, I can't remember his name. But he basically said, we're going to make J.J. McCarthy throw. Not a good idea. I've even talked to Ohio State fans, and they've even said, that's not a good idea. It will not work. So you cannot underestimate Michigan's wide receiver cores if you're TCU. And even if they did, not underestimate Michigan's receiving cores, Michigan's receiving core is really good. You could see in that Ohio State game, J.J. McCarthy can throw the ball. If he's confident and he has time, he can throw the ball. And let's not forget, Michigan has an excellent offensive line. They have a great offensive line. They'll be able to protect him. McCarthy can scramble. He's fast. He's quick. You know, you got Corum out of the backfield, you got Edwards out of the backfield, you got two really good running backs back there, as well as a great receiving core, and you got a great tight end in the making, Colston Loveland. It's a hard offense to stop. And not to mention the defense, like I already did with Jesse Minter, Junior Colston, you know, Taylor Upshaw, Mike Morris, Jenkins, DJ Turner, Will Johnson, who has been an absolutely stud as a 5-star freshman. You know, it just goes on. There's so much talent around this Michigan team, and it's just going to keep building. It's just going to keep building on. And, you know, I've talked to Michigan fans, and a lot of them have said, hey, you know, we're a little concerned about the recruiting. Well, let's think about it like this. Does recruiting help? Absolutely. But, you know, with NIL and everything going on nowadays, you know, you take a look at Hassan Haskins, you take a look at Ronnie Bell. Those were guys that were 3-star players. And look how well they did at Michigan. Or if we talk about Shea Patterson, who was a 5-star quarterback, originally committed to Ole Miss, then transferred to Michigan, he did not do that well. And so Will Johnson was a 5-star, and he's a stud. So what I'm saying is, would I rather get 5 stars over 3 stars? Absolutely. But a lot of Michigan fans have been really disappointed with the fact that they've been getting 3 stars. And I'm just saying, hey, look at all the 3 stars we've gotten and how well they've done here. Because it's more than just recruiting. It's also about the coaching. And Michigan's got arguably maybe the best coaching staff in the country. It's really hard, but because, you know, you got Bama, Georgia. I wouldn't say they're the best, but they're for sure top 5, in my opinion. And so it's really, really good and cool to see what they've done at Michigan. And so now, enough with the Fiesta Bowl. I've been talking that for a while. I've been talking about Michigan for a while. I was supposed to stop a while ago. I'm sorry. They're just my team. Okay, the Peach Bowl. You got Georgia and Ohio State. So I'm going to start by saying this with Ohio State. They got lucky. They're in the playoff. I don't care how much hate I get for it. When you get beat like that by a top 3 team in the country in your home stadium, it's not good. And I watched the press conference for the Peach Bowl with Ryan Day and Kirby Smart. I'm just going to say, Ryan Day did not look like he had the energy compared to Kirby Smart. And, you know, Ryan Day did excellent in his 2019 season at Ohio State, but a big reason for that was because Urban Meyer's recruits, J.K. Dobbins, Jeff Okudah, Chase Young, even maybe, no, not Justin Fields. But my point is, a big reason why Ryan Day did so well in his first year at Ohio State was because those were all Urban Meyer's players. And now so far this decade, and so far Ryan Day's own recruiting, he has been 0-2 against Michigan. That is not a good look. And that's the game that matters the most for Ohio State and Michigan. And Ryan Day has not lived up to the hype. You know, he just does not bring the same energy that Urban Meyer has brought. I would not be surprised if Ryan Day got fired after next year. I would not be surprised. And just see him go somewhere else. You know, that's just how it is. When you have a program like Ohio State, they want to win. They want to beat rivals like Michigan. They want to win the Big Ten. And Ryan Day has not lived up to the hype with his own recruits. Now, is it possible he turns it around? Absolutely. But I just don't see it because he has not brought the same intense as Urban Meyer. And, you know, that's why I don't think it's going to go so well. Who knows? Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe Ohio State will prove me wrong and they'll beat Georgia. But, you know, like I said, also, this is not the same Georgia team as last year. They are not as good, but they still are a really good team. And Kirby Smart's an excellent coach. I mean, he used to be on Nick Saban's roster. But my point is, when you got a coach that just doesn't bring as much intense and fiery to the table, Kirby Smart brings a ton of it. But Ryan Day, on the other hand, not so much. And that Georgia defense, they may not be as good as last year, but they still are really tough and physical. They are good. And Ohio State, the way I saw them playing against Michigan, it's not going to go so well with Georgia. And I honestly thought, you know, when you normally lose, you can get more angry. You can get more fired up. And I did not see that in the press conference with Ryan Day. So we'll see what happens, but I just don't expect Ohio State to win. I got Georgia probably by 17. So we'll see what happens. So then, with that being said, national championship, I have it being a rematch between Michigan and Georgia. Close game. It's going to be a hella close game. That's all I got to say. And obviously, I am a Michigan fan, so I am going to pick Michigan because I'm always a firm believer my team will win. But I also think it's more than that. Like I already mentioned, Michigan wants their revenge on Georgia. They want to play Georgia again. Now, if Ohio State beat Georgia and Michigan beat TCU, we would have an Ohio State-Michigan national championship. Do I see that happening? Most likely not. Could it happen? Yes. But if that were the case, Michigan, I think, will not be afraid to play Ohio State again. Like, they're going to take that game against Ohio State in the Natty a lot more serious than they took in Columbus, because Ohio State's also going to take it serious without a doubt. And it's hard to beat the same college football team twice in a year, but Michigan has not won a national championship since 1997, and that's why their mind is so focused on winning it. So I honestly think if Michigan beats TCU, if they play Georgia or Ohio State, they could beat either one of them. And Georgia, if Michigan were to play Georgia, it's going to be hella close. It'd be hella close. But the reason why I got Michigan is because they want their revenge. They want that revenge on Georgia. They know what it's like. We saw after last year when Georgia kicked our ass in the Orange Bowl. Blake Corum was watching Georgia celebrate, and then he came off the field and said, "We'll be back." Like that's saying something about how much they want to beat Georgia. When you're watching that team beat you and watching them celebrate, and then the next game they go on to win the Natty, you are motivated to beat that team because you want that same experience. And I think that's why I think Michigan will win the national championship this year. Thank you guys so much for watching my college football breakdown. It means a lot to me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out.